Hello, principal investors and capital companies. This is Mary Laura presenting from my office, right? As you know, I am an educator. I am also a researcher and a writer. And I would like to acknowledge the help that I have had in being able to present an elevator pitch to tech companies um, right now. So, in that acknowledgement, I was told to treat the pitch of myself for wages that are around mid pay, so $80,000 a year. So I was told to treat those pitches to those companies like a trailer of someone's life, like a movie trailer, with a beginning, a middle, and up to the current. So as you know, I have asked for $200,000 to seed a technology to improve academic competencies. So, where this really begins is actually in journalism. So, in 2010, there was the earthquake in Haiti. At the time that the earthquake occurred in Haiti, I was a student journalist. There was a State Department grant offered at the school that I went to, and I applied for my journalism concept with to that grant. I did not get that grant. However, I continued on with my journalism concept, and I was able to learn more about development. Um, at some point after I worked on my project for 2 years, I decided to go back to school. Instead of transferring to another private university, or a state school, I went to community college. I found this program that was of interest to me. It was in disaster and emergency management. I talked with the head of the program, and I originally went in for certification, but I was like, okay, what's an associate's degree in this, right? So I talked with the head of the program, and she was a former federal worker, um, in her program as the head of the Department of Public Safety, uh, school public safety, in this program. And she said, there's not a lot of people that have graduated from this program. It's mainly geared towards firefighters. And I said, I understand that, but I want to do this program. And I paid for it. I paid for half of it out of pocket, and another half I had grants to complete it, and maybe a scholarship as well. So I completed that program, and I still want it to go abroad. So I began the research process of how do I apply to go abroad. During that time, I picked another program because I was able to complete that program really fast. So I picked early childhood education, and that was another associate's degree, and I completed it within 1 year. And I really loved education. It was something different than anything that I had studied in the past. And I learned about Maria Montessori and her method of kind of having the child absorb the environment, and eventually the child's going to do the same activity, but they're going to figure out how to do it in a different way to the maximum of the capacity. I learned about different longitudinal research, right? Such as the high def program. I also learned about Head Start, and I worked in Head Start a little bit. So I took all this research understanding, and I continued to work in education, or in kind of information like libraries, or in enrichment programs. And I continued to apply with international development for different jobs. I think the last international development job that I applied to was in Palestine occupied Jerusalem. as a community educator between Palestinian children and I guess Jewish children, teenagers. Um, so, with those understandings of how to apply research within a broad demographic, that led me to look at education as a means to improve the world. And I developed my own concept of theory of concept, because I'm working on it, for curriculum and science. But this wasn't enough. So between my understanding of science aptitude and pathways in education, and my experience and going to different schools and looking at what they call like a degree audit, I realized that there was opportunity to advise children in education. And while it's incredibly relevant here in the United States, it's even more relevant internationally and in development, because something that I learned about while being a journalist, was the importance of telemedicine. I believe I learned about that at an event in DC in 2012. So within telemedicine really helped kind of like these very rural areas, and I think it was Africa, an African country, right? So people were able to get diagnoses by speaking with an expert on the other side of the camera, right? So all over the world, children don't always have access to teachers. And in addition to that, there's just different fields that they may be interested in, that people who are educated in that field in that country do not teach. They may work in the government or they may work as a researcher. So in combining all of this brings me to where I am right now. And I am not asking just for a job. I am asking for a 3-year advance on a concept that is applicable here in the United States, but also abroad. And I know you will see that next within my presentation. So I thank you so much for listening to me talk from my office, right? This is one of my offices for 2 of my contract jobs. One is working for a company that's based in Singapore, and they offer teacher they offer lessons to children in China, in India, in Singapore, right? So internationally. And another one of my companies is based in San Francisco, and they currently are working in the school system, are offering their tutors and their teachers access to like teach children within the school system through funding that our government is currently providing. So I want you to not just think about my proposal within the United States, but think about it abroad. Thank you so much and have a good day.